Thank you for watching the Reports, Tools, and Customizing Your Roster video. This training webinar was created to give you a quick overview of what it looks like to utilize your reports and tools in WebGrants and how to customize your roster. Please note that the student data shown in this presentation is fictitious and all personally identifiable information has been omitted. First, we will review the reports available in WebGrants. As a financial aid administrator, there are many reports to assist you in your job. To access these reports, once you are logged into your WebGrants account, click on the Data Transfer link under the CalGrant section on the home page. When the menu pops up, click on Report Download. Here is the report download screen. Select the academic year and the report type you are searching for. Users can also filter by month and media type to customize search results. Once you click the blue Search button, all reports fitting your search criteria will appear. Alternatively, if you leave all fields at their default selection as all, the system will bring up all available reports for that academic year. This slide shows some of the more common college reports and their descriptions. We will discuss each report in greater detail over the next several slides. Please note that some reports are generated automatically, while other reports provide feedback on the status of the transactions submitted through a batch upload. For example, after submitting payments via the grant roster batch upload process using our template, reports such as the Accept/Reject report are generated to inform campuses which payments were successfully uploaded or rejected. Similarly, the Education Level Verification Accept/Reject report informs schools which of the EL verifications submitted by the campus through the EL verification template batch upload process passed or failed. We will look at some of these templates in the Tool section of this webinar. Here are some additional reports, but please note that this list is not comprehensive. There are other reports available, but this training will just focus on some of the more commonly used reports. The first report we will talk about is the Accept/Reject report. Each weekend, the Commission processes the transactions that were posted throughout the week. After weekend processing, reports are generated, such as this Accept/Reject report. Every transaction reported the previous week will be listed on this report. Any transaction that was rejected will appear at the top of the report in the Rejected section. Rejected records represent unsuccessful transactions and will need to be evaluated and rectified. This section also lists the reason why the transaction was rejected. For example, EL verification required means the student's education level must be verified before a payment can be posted. Or no transaction reported for fall term means that the fall term must be satisfied with a payment or leave of absence before a spring payment can be reported. Another common reject code is duplicate transaction. In other words, this student was already paid for that term, but the school attempted to report another payment for the same term, which results in a duplicate transaction. If there were no rejected transactions, this section will not appear on the report. The next section of the report is the Accepted section. These transactions were successfully processed, so no further action is needed. We highly recommend this report be checked every week to confirm that posted payments are being accepted. This slide shows the two sections of the Award Status Extract reports, awarded and non-awarded. The Award Status Extract report is a feedback report that is generated at the end of the month after an institution uploads a formatted award status extract file of student Social Security or DREAM Act identification numbers. The file layout for proper formatting of the award status extract process and training guide is located in the Help menu of WebGrants. The Awarded section displays students who are awarded a Cal Grant and provides details of the award, the Cal Grant type, award amount, and can be used to assist schools in identifying students on their campus who may be eligible for Cal Grant payments but who do not appear on the current payment roster. This occurs when students do not claim their school of attendance via WebGrants for Students. The non-awarded section is simply a list of Social Security numbers and the reason why the student was not processed for Cal Grant consideration. The Cal-C Supplement Recipient Report lists all students who were found potentially eligible for the Cal Grant C. The far right column lists an N or a Y indicating whether or not the student has completed their supplement form. Students must submit the C supplement and confirm enrollment in an improved vocational program through WebGrants for Students in order to claim their award. If a student is preliminarily awarded the Cal Grant C but does not appear on your roster, it is likely because they did not submit this form, and this report will confirm that. The Education Level or EL Verification Report identifies newly awarded students who are on hold awaiting EL verification. Remember that EL is directly tied to the percentage of lifetime Cal Grant eligibility. For example, a college freshman receives 400% or 4 years of Cal Grant eligibility, while sophomores receive 300% or 3 years of eligibility, and so on. Students may misreport their education level on the FAFSA or the DREAM Act application, so if a student record is flagged, financial aid administrators need to perform this verification requirement to clear the flags prior to reporting the first payment. There are two statuses: not yet paid verification required and paid verification required. Please note that if a record is not flagged, EL verification is not required. Additional training material on the EL verification process can be found in WebGrants under the Help menu. The Education Level Verification Accept Reject Report provides feedback after an institution uploads an EL verification file using the Commission's EL verification template. Manual EL verifications do not appear on this report. Similar to other reports, there is an accepted and rejected section. Institutions will need to work through the rejected section. For the rejected section, the most common reason is invalid award status, which usually occurs when a school has posted a transaction that withdraws the award. For example, reporting IT for ineligible for transfer entitlement before the EL verification was performed. The E2 verification report identifies students who have been offered a new or renewal transfer entitlement award and are flagged for verification. 10% of E2 awards are flagged to confirm eligibility for the transfer entitlement award per Assembly Bill 840. This report is only available to four-year institutions because E2 awards are only applicable to universities. Financial aid administrators should work this report because without releasing this hold, a student cannot receive a payment. You should become very familiar with the monthly payment activity report, which is used when reconciling records. While it is titled monthly, this report is actually generated on a weekly basis over the weekend. This report is the equivalent to a Cal Grant bank statement. It will show detailed transactions such as when term advances are deposited and weekly reconciled transactions. The running balance is shown on the far right until all advance funds are exhausted, at which point the State Controller's Office will apply additional supplemental payments to always keep the balance at zero. This report is cumulative, so when you view the latest report, it will include transactions from the beginning of the academic year up to the latest transactions. You should become very familiar with the monthly payment activity report, which is accessed through the data transfer screen in WebGrants. While it is titled monthly, this report is actually generated on a weekly basis over the weekend. This report is the equivalent to a Cal Grant bank statement. It will show both an overall summary of your transactions by term, as well as detailed transactions. This report is cumulative, so when you view the latest report, it will include transactions from the beginning of the academic year up to the latest transactions. Any fall, winter, or spring advances that your school is eligible for are displayed, followed by your reconciled payment transactions. The running balance is shown on the far right until all advance funds are exhausted. Once exhausted, the State Controller's Office will automatically apply additional supplemental payments to always keep the balance at zero. We can see that this school received a fall advance on August 12th and exhausted all advance funds on November 27th. This triggers the State Controller's Office to bring the Cal Grant funds back to a zero balance. Supplemental payments will continue to be transferred each time payments are reconciled or until the next term advance. Please note the initial fall advance is 95% of the Cal Grant payments that the school reconciled for the fall term of the previous year. Winter and spring advance amounts are subject to state budget and typically range from 25% to 50%. Not all institutions qualify for advances each term. New schools or schools with provisional status do not receive advances. The Payment Activity Report also includes a summary of fall, winter, or spring, and summer total disbursements. Award types are abbreviated. CATF stands for Cal Grant A Tuition and Fees. CBACC means Cal Grant B Access Award. This feedback report is generated after the school uploads a file of school change requests. It identifies school change requests that could not be processed, including the reason why it was rejected. It also includes a record count of both successful and rejected school change attempts. The Student Overlap Report is a list of students who are in overlap, which simply means that they were qualified for both the Cal Grant A and B. For example, a student with a low income and a high GPA may be eligible for both awards. However, WebGrants will auto-accept the award that pays the most based on the school segment, community college, CSU, UC, or private that the student lists as the school of attendance on the FAFSA or DREAM Act application. The Student Award Summary screen in WebGrants will display auto-accepted for the Cal Grant awarded and qualified for the other. The Unable to Determine Remaining Eligibility Report is a list of Cal Grant recipients who were enrolled for the prior year but are missing a payment for at least one term during that academic year, which prevented the award from renewing. Keep in mind that in order for a student's award to be renewed, all terms in the previous academic year must be satisfied with a payment, leave of absence, or other renewal transaction code. Finally, the Unclaimed Awards report identifies students that have an unclaimed award. In other words, they have no reported payments from any of the schools listed on their financial aid application. A student with an unclaimed award will appear on this report for every school listed on the FAFSA or DREAM Act application. This report will help schools identify and claim their attending students. It is generated periodically between October of the award year and the final reconciliation date, and is a progressive report, meaning each time the report is created, it will overwrite the previous report. The WebGrants Help menu offers user guides on many CSAC processes, including how to use WebGrants tools. We strongly encourage financial aid staff to review the user guides. User guides are available on various topics such as the Accept Reject screen, data transfer, roster and reconciliation, tools, transfer entitlement, and more. Now let's look at some of the tools available in WebGrants. It's important to understand that the Tools menu offers templates that are used in tandem with the reports, and they do a couple of different things. Some templates are designed to simply reformat data from the default text file onto an Excel template so that the data is displayed neatly in rows and columns. Once the data is imported into Excel, the data can be sorted and filtered. The second thing is that other templates are used to extract and format data from your student management system in preparation for uploading. This is what the Tools page looks like. There are a number of different tools, namely templates, which can help you format data in preparation for uploading grant rosters with student payments, reconciliation data, education level verifications, GPAs, middle class scholarship awardee information, and more. The CSAC templates are used by schools with a large student body to prepare for uploading a data file and/or to organize the data contained in the report into an easy-to-read and sortable spreadsheet. Here is an overview of some of the most common templates that will help you interpret many of the reports. We suggest that you save these tools in a folder on your computer. We will also demo the Roster Data File Compare tool, which is an actual tool and not just a template. The Grant Roster Template tool helps you read the Grant Roster Data File report, and it separates the data into sortable, filterable columns. The reconciliation template tool is similar to the grant roster template tool in that it helps you format and prepare your data for upload. The EL verification template tool formats education level verifications onto a spreadsheet for uploading. The Unclaimed Awards template assists in claiming your students who have not claimed their award via WebGrants for Students. Finally, the Roster Data File Compare tool will help you to compare roster changes from one week to the next. You can load rosters from 2 different weeks to compare the changes. We'll demo this for you on the next few slides. The Roster Data File Compare tool allows you to compare changes from 2 different rosters, typically last week's roster and this week's roster. One of the most useful features of this tool is that it can be used to identify newly awarded students from week to week. First, to download your 2 rosters, navigate to the WebGrants report download screen. From the home page, click on Data Transfer, then click on Report Download from the pop-up menu. Retrieve each grant roster file. In this example, the old file is from January 7th and the new file is from January 15th. Save each text file to your computer. Next, open the Roster Data File Compare tool. Click the Select Old File button and choose the first or older saved roster from your computer location. Then do the same for the newer of the 2 files. Notice that record counts for each file will populate beneath the results window. Next, click the Compare button to compare the 2 rosters. You will see the progress bar at the bottom in blue as results are loading. The compared records will be loaded into the box on the far right of the tool, and the differences between the 2 rosters will display underneath the window as changed records and new records. You can even save this roster comparison as a data file. In the Display Choices menu, you have different options. You can toggle between changed records, dropped records, or first time on roster. For this example, we will view changed records. We can see that there are changed records in both the annual award amount as well as differences in the financial need amount. Other changed records you may also see are students who have made school changes to other schools, thereby removing themselves from your roster. You can also view first time on roster and changed records such as payment changes. You can print or save the results. First time on roster displays newly awarded students. You can find additional training on the use of the Roster Data File Compare tool, as well as how to use our templates in the Tools User Guide found in the WebGrants Help menu. Learning to customize your roster to filter and display a specific student cohort is invaluable in many of your everyday functions. Let's take a look on the next slide of how to customize your roster. Why should you customize your roster? Customizing your Cal Grant roster allows users to filter results and view specific student cohorts based on award status. It is particularly helpful to assist with awarding and packaging. For example, schools can customize a roster to display just foster youth, students with dependents, or flagged records requiring verification of education level or transfer entitlement eligibility. Another use is to identify DREAM Act applicants so you can reach out to this cohort to collect the tuition exemption waiver or the affidavit as part of the AB 540 requirements. Another great use of this tool is to customize your roster to view unpaid competitive awards prior to the competitive recycle to confirm that your students have been paid before the Commission withdraws and recycles the awards. There are multiple uses, and we encourage WebGrants users to play around with and become familiar with all the tools you have access to. As you can see from the list, rosters can be customized to identify groups such as newly awarded students, any students with holds or flags, students with dependents, foster youth, TANF eligible students, or California DREAM Act students. Customizing rosters can be helpful to identify unpaid competitive awardees prior to the competitive recycle. On this slide, you can see a sample of a roster with all of the identifiers in the different fields. In the 2019-2020 academic year, the Student with Dependents identifier was added. Students with the SWD hold can be verified either by the students in their WebGrants for Students portal or they can be verified by the financial aid office in their roster. To begin customizing your roster, click Roster/Reconciliation under the Cal Grant section on the home page. Then click Customize Roster from the pop-up menu. Once on the Customize Roster page, you will see all rosters that are on your WebGrants profile. In this example, the user only has a standard roster. Click on the Edit icon to start the customization process. Once selected, you will be directed to the Untitled Roster Format screen. From this screen, you begin by naming the new roster. In this example, we are going to create a customized roster to show our unpaid competitive applicants. Schools will want to do this prior to the competitive recycle. We will name the new roster Unpaid Competitive Awardees. You will want to ensure that the new roster is not your preferred roster by selecting the No Radio button. If you say yes, it will override your main roster. These are optional filters and sorting elements. You can leave these blank if you wish. On the next slide, we will see where users can filter out all students to zoom in and select specific records, such as students who are flagged for EL or transfer entitlement verification. As we mentioned on the previous slide, this section allows you to select the type of records you wish to display. You may choose to display those who are recipients of Cal Grant A, B, or C awards listed adjacent to program code, for example. Other applicable uses of roster customization include E1, E2 on hold status for the high school graduation verification flag or transfer entitlement verification flag. This appears on records of students who do not self-certify with the G8 or the G6 via their student portal. Colleges who have high school transcripts or diplomas and can confirm high school graduation can certify on behalf of the student to remove this hold. The DREAM Act flag can be used as an outreach tool to ensure all DREAM Act applicants have submitted their non-resident tuition exemptions. For foster youth, this identifies students who are in foster care at age 13 or older, and it can be used to refer foster youth students to additional services such as priority registration. Student with dependents identifies students who indicated on their FAFSA or DREAM Act application that they have a dependent